Hey everybody, Icy Cat here. Today has some huge news dropping. The expected Season 2 update for the Hong Kong operators and map has been significantly delayed. We're also getting less content this year than originally indicated overall, and the changes we are getting this time are only to do with game stability and performance. I'm going to go over everything that's changing as well as everything that's not changing or been removed next. In a few weeks, everyone expected the release of a couple of new operators from the Hong Kong CTU, the Special Duties Unit, as well as a new map set in Hong Kong, the expected theme park map. While those are still coming, they've been pushed back until what we would have gotten in Season 3. That's right, we aren't getting the Season 2 operators until Season 3. The Hong Kong CTU will now be released in August. The same goes for the accompanying map for Hong Kong. This season, we are not getting any new maps or operators. The new roadmap shows that Season 4 will still deploy the South Korean operators and map as scheduled in November, but the Season 3 operators for the Polish CTU are now being split up between Season 3 and Season 4. So the way this works is in the third season, we're going to get 3 operators, 2 from Hong Kong and 1 from Poland. And then in Season 4, we're going to get another 3 operators, 2 from South Korea and the remaining Polish operator. One of the CTUs will not be getting a new map this year, and Poland has been cut out for a map choice. Honestly, I think they would have probably dropped the Polish operators as well and moved them into next year or something, but they probably needed to fulfill their obligation to Season Pass holders who paid for access to 8 operators. Now, one big question I'm going to get asked a lot is, were we just ripped off for Season Pass holders? Did they just take away like a quarter of the value of what we paid for? The answer is honestly no. The map is what we are not getting. The maps have always been free. The maps are not part of the Season Pass deal at all. The 8 operators are. And I think because of the obligation of the Season Pass, that's why we're still getting 8 instead of possibly only having gotten 6. You will still get everything else that's promised in the Season Pass. You still get your 5% renown bonus. You still get your 10% VIP discount in the shop. You still get anything else that you might have had as far as like the Obsidian weapon skin or any kind of rainbow credits. So we're not actually losing any value from the Season Pass of what it says you specifically get. We are losing a map, but that's not part of the Season Pass. And the operators we're still getting, they're just being delayed another 3 months. We will also not be getting a mid-season reinforcements patch this season either. Those are, of course, the patches that aren't the new seasons, but they kind of have like the next biggest thing where they change a bunch of buffs and nerfs to various operators and have a lot of new content changes. Okay, so that's everything we're not getting, or having to wait another 3 months for. So what will this season be about? The health of the game and stability. We will be receiving one-step matchmaking, which is the faster matchmaking system. This will allow you to browse the shop, customize your operators and weapons while matchmaking is going on, and in general be faster. But how exactly? Rather than building up a 5-man team 1 person at a time, and then after creating that team build a second 5-man team 1 person at a time, it will instead try to find all 10 people behind the scenes and then launch it as fast as possible. This should also remove or significantly reduce queue dodging, as the team composition happens behind the scenes mostly. No worries if you're part of a pre-made squad, that will still be the same, and they're going to try to match you against similarly composed pre-made squads if possible. Presumably new matchmaking criteria were going to be going into play here too. Some of the recent changes to casual having skill and rank factor in will surely be part of that, though they did say the way it is now was only a temporary measure and not the final way that they're going to be balancing out the skill gap in casual matchmaking. They've also announced 100% server-based features and using a dedicated voice and party system, which creates less errors for players and is more reliable. I'm not sure if this is a PC-only thing because on consoles you already have dedicated party systems for voice chat and things like that, so maybe that's only a PC feature. Regardless, more info will eventually be released on this, but that's all we have at the moment. It's unclear if having 100% server-based features means more than what they're talking about here or not. For instance, having server-based smoke grenades would enable everyone to see the exact same cloud of smoke, whereas right now it's rendered locally on the client instead of the server. So then they may not be seeing the exact same smoke cloud. You might think you're standing in the middle of it and fully concealed, but in reality, to them, you're just on the edge of the coverage and they can see you fairly easily. Having this take place server-side instead of client-side would make sure everyone is seeing the same thing. This would also be really useful for destruction and debris. You ever make a murder hole and have a plank of wood fall in exactly the wrong spot and you can't see out, but you get shot because someone could see you? For them, that chunk of debris didn't render exactly the same. It might not have even showed up on their end at all because it's rendered client-side. If it was all handled on the server, everyone would see the exact same thing in that case too. Additionally, they announced faster servers with a higher tick rate and improved hit registration. I think we can all agree this is much needed. The number one complaint everyone has is, Ubisoft, fix your servers. Well, sounds like they are. Though to be fair, we've heard on and off that things like tick rate and hit registration are being fixed over the duration of the game's release, and that's been hit or miss as to how effective it's sometimes been on deployment. Outside of that, they're going to be putting more focus on the technical test servers to more smoothly roll out new changes and content, as well as what they call an on-off switch. This is essentially the ability to provide an immediate rollback should a new update create some broken issues in the game on deployment. The technical test servers will get the ability to preview some early changes they're thinking of implementing, or at least things they want to experiment with and see how it goes. They can use the information gained from that to put together more stable, less bug-ridden patches on actual deployment. Those will go out first to PC and then to consoles, as they have a longer approval time for Microsoft and Sony certification. The last focus they mentioned was to address bugs more rapidly using smaller but more frequent releases of fixes and prioritizing them as reported by the community. They're going to be doing a full panel during the Pro League Finals on May 21st to discuss all of the various aspects of this situation and the changes that are going into this. There's no word on if we'll eventually be getting that fourth map back next year or not. They could release it as a fifth map next year, kind of like how in the first year we wound up getting Bartlett University at the very end of the year. I mean, surely they've done some pretty significant development on it already, and it would be a shame to just lose it entirely. It's even conceivable that going forward they might stick to a slower release schedule and only have 3 seasons per year after this one instead of 4. Now there's nothing to really indicate that one way or the other, of course. Something like that would be a really mixed bag. I mean, it would allow them to focus more on the quality of the game, reducing bugs and more, but it would come at the expense of reduced content and less seasons of play. Again, it's way too early to have anything other than speculation on what this means for future unannounced seasons of the game at this point, but there will almost certainly be some kind of impact, even if we don't yet know what it is. With no mid-season reinforcements, we shouldn't expect to see any major buffs or nerfs to operators either. Though minor ones are certainly possible, of course. I would also expect that we'll see some changes to the game itself on a monthly basis during this, what I'm calling lost season, just nothing on huge scales. No word on the implementation of the Alpha Pack loot system. It was slated as potentially coming out this season, but in all of the information they released today, there was no mention of it. We may find out more about that during the Pro League discussion panel in a few weeks. We'll also probably continue to see the release of skins, headgear, uniforms, and charms like we normally would, but nothing of the new season variety, more like the smaller, iterative release we typically see. I hope they announce at least a few interesting things for us to look forward to for new content or changes, because while serving the health of the game is definitely an overall good thing, it's also a hell of an understatement to say this is very disappointing to not get the new operators and map. I don't know about you guys, but Velvet Shell already feels like it's been going on forever to me, and we have 3 more months until the new operators and map come. Speaking of that, it's going to be very weird to have a 3-month period where there is one extra attacker than defender before the next one comes out. I mean, in August, we're going to get the 2 Hong Kong operators and the first of the Polish operators. Although it might not be an attacker, it could be a defender instead. We don't really know at this point, but regardless, it's going to feel very lopsided for a whole 3 months. I do think there will be some as of yet unannounced changes to come, but we'll have to wait and see what those are. We did see some files that have been data mined during the last technical test server session, and we talked about some of those new gadgets in a previous video. Most notably, a few new kinds of deployable mines and some other things. While some of these things seem to be tied to the new Hong Kong operators, not all of the gadgets seem to be. Is it possible that we could be seeing some of these new secondary gadgets get rolled out this season? Okay, so I know you guys are going to have some strong opinions on what Ubisoft is doing here. So let me know down in the comments below what you think, or send me a message over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. As more clarification comes out about what we can actually expect to see this season, I will of course be breaking that down. So if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news and information for Rainbow Six Siege, then please like and subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.